In 2011, I was drawn in by the faces of the Egyptian revolution. I saw strong and bold women protesting for an end to an oppressive regime in their country, and my heart applauded them.
One thing quickly became clear. Women were not going to be left behind.
From the start, women were on the streets demonstrating against Hosni Mubarak's regime alongside and sometimes leading men.
Unfortunately, very quickly, the demonstrators, who had amongst their number a lot of men, I have to say, were surrounded by anti-feminist demonstrators, as some of the women described them to me.
Post-revolution videos seem to show the complete opposite. Women who made their presence known throughout the protests became targets of abuse. This is said to be done as a way to systematically silence the female voice. Upon realizing this, I began to delve into documentaries with the central theme of raising awareness of the female state in foreign countries.
When you joined the protest, were you surprised by how many women were out there?
Yes, it was impressive. I want equality between women and men. What you can do, I can do. That's it.
I spent some time researching women's rights organizations, and throughout the process, I have developed a project to highlight the positive impact that these organizations are having on the lives of women in their respective communities. The basis of this initiative is an empowerment exchange project, sharing sources of strength with each other in hopes of highlighting the importance of each organization and raising awareness of female empowerment in East Africa. I wanted to begin this initiative in Rwanda because of the leading role of women in their government. Of the 80 seats in parliament, 51 are filled by women, boasting a female majority representation of 64%, the highest in the world. I wanted to see what kind of impact that had on the mindset of the people. In Rwanda, I was welcomed by ActionAid and the Aquila Institute. ActionAid Rwanda has been recognized in the country since 1982, with a stronger presence after the genocide in 1994. Their main objective is the eradication of poverty in the rural areas. Agriculture is the main industry in Rwanda, and women are the primary workers. ActionAid is helping women from dominantly patriarchal communities gain access to property and livestock ownership. The Aquila Institute is the first accredited female vocational establishment in Africa, offering courses in entrepreneurship, hospitality, and information systems. Their approach to empowerment is through educating the most ambitious young women whose academic journey was halted due to the lack of financing. Their presence has encouraged women to work toward creating their own better lives.
Nitwa Nyiramana Donata.
I'm called Nyiramana Donata.
Presidente w'ishirahamwe Abunzi Ubumwe.
I'm the president of the association called Abunzi Ubumwe, meaning united together.
Ubwo tukaba dukora umurimo w'ubuhinzi n'ubworozi tutarageraho neza buhagije, ariko tukaba dufite umushinga wo guteka amandazi.
We are women farmers, we cultivate, we have livestock, but we also another project of making bread. Mwabagore bangahe?
Turabagore 30.
Our association is made up of 30 women. Yeah.
Ubwo rero twatangiye duhinga ibirayi, ibigori.
We started in our association by cultivating maize and Irish potatoes.
Ubwo tugeze nyuma tubona umushinga ActionAid itwigisha gukora amandazi.
But ActionAid came in and taught us trained us on doing business skills, and they trained us on making bread. And then that's where we started buying our income sources.
Ubwo rero ubwo mu buhinzi bwacu uko duhinga mbese ikibazo duhinga tubona dushakisha imibereho yo gukura umugore mu bukene, kwikura mu bukene.
So our main aim is just to fight against the poverty.
Ntabwo uvuga mu cyangere mu kinyarwanda ureba muri kamera.
Nuko nshaka nuko segisi yanjye ari ukuba umunyamakuru, ariyo ntego yanjye, nkaba numva nabafasha bitewe n'intego yabo numvishe n'ibyo badufasha.
Well, she's studying journalism, and in that sector she feels like she wants to be a journalist. Then she can come and help them in that kind of stuff. I mean, she wants to experience herself in newspaper writing and so on.
My name is Trifine Murikatete. I'm 33 years old. I have 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 daughter. I joined Aquila in 2011, where I did leadership and hospitality management. I graduated from Aquila in 2012. Before joining Aquila, my life was, I was hopeless, because finding a job here in Rwanda, it was so difficult without finishing all your studies, like university. But I had studied until 1909. That is the year of 1999. That's the year that I graduated from secondary school, where I did languages. But after that time, I didn't have any job or any school to study. But when I heard about Aquila, I ran to come and see what's happening in Aquila. Then I was so grateful to find that Aquila has leadership and hospitality management, because in my life I like dealing with customers, dealing with helping people who need it the most. And I studied. I've been lucky to do my exams in English, where we did a written test and interview. Then I was successful, and that's when I was admitted to study in Aquila. Whenever I sit with my daughter, I always advise her to love studying, and she likes Aquila so much, because she saw that when I came in Aquila, that is when she saw me acting very positively. Then I always advise her to study in order not to rely on her husband. She needs to study until she gets maybe a master's or other levels of studies. And after that, because here in Rwanda, the girls depend on having the husband. They said, even if I don't study, I'll be having my husband. So he will buy me this and that. He will build me a house, buy for me a car, things like that. But when I'm sitting with her, I always advise her to study so that she can rely on herself. The advice that I always give to these ladies, even the ones who study here, I always tell them that it is the same way as I advise my daughter.
That's your daughter.
Yeah. they are also my daughters here. I tell them to study seriously, because their future is in their hands. Their future is not in somebody else's hands. Then I try to tell them that I can be their role model, Some of them know me the time I came to Aquila as a student, and they know me after graduating. So whenever they come to me, there is a time that they found me hurrying up, going to school, and asking me, how do you handle to work at the same time, to be a mom, at the same time to be a student? Then I tell them to do like me, to have self-confidence in themselves, and that when you want something, then you can achieve.
I'm Josephine Irene Uwamaria. I'm the country director of Action Aid in Rwanda, a member of the International Federation, which aims at contributing to eradication of poverty and injustice globally. So we actually began our operations in Rwanda in 1982, and we've been here as one of the partners contributing towards the development of this country in the areas of rural development, education, and more so women economic empowerment, where women are considered as active partners and as key stakeholders in development of Rwanda. We have 3 strategic objectives in our 5-year strategic plan. We named development based on rights and dignity. The first one is on sustainable agriculture, because agriculture is the backbone of the economy of Rwanda, and over 70% of all the labor is by women. So that's why we actually focus on agriculture, because it engages women more. We also focus on education, because the girl child has to be supported, not just the girl child but then other children, but we focus more on the girl child, because at the center of all our interventions are women and girls, because they form the majority of the population of Rwanda, and they have actually been affected right from all the traditions and all the customs having been considered as like the second-class citizens. So women economic empowerment, women empowerment in all ways is at the center of all our interventions. The third one is a standalone on women economic empowerment and giving them the voice to fight any form of violence, to any form of discrimination that has affected them, that has made them not enjoy their rights, right from when this society began, and based on the patriarchal system that has existed right from that long time. It is in that aspect that we actually work with women from the most remote areas, because that's where the services are limited, and where the patriarchal system has actually concentrated because of the invisible law. We have the current law that fights against gender-based violence and other forms of violence, but because of the invisible law of the traditional laws, in some cases you find the women not being able to enjoy their rights, and that's why we actually concentrate on women's rights, because in Rwanda we believe that when you empower a woman, you have empowered the entire society. So that is the purpose of our main focus, and that is actually the entire vision of our federation, Action Aid, as a global movement that walks around or walks along with the social movements, with the communities, with all other partners that promote and advocate for women's rights.
Jane Anyango of Kibera Women for Peace and Fairness invited me into her home to experience her life and work within the community of Kibera, Kenya. As a grassroots rights activist and product of Kibera, Jane's passion is to help the women around her recognize that they can rise above their circumstances. Due to significant tribal associations in Kibera, Jane's efforts are centered around peace and solidarity. Ms. Anyango incorporates sports into her programs, and this was a great opportunity to introduce golf to the young women of Kibera, sharing my source of empowerment with them. The Royal Nairobi Golf Club hosted our program, and key individuals involved in making this their success gained enough interest in this initiative to share their insight on female empowerment.
My name is Jane Anyango. I live and work in Kibera with women and girls. Yeah, it's very challenging working in Kibera because you're working with a community that is living in the comfort zone. A community that does not know that there's something that they're supposed to be changing in their lives. So almost everything they're doing for you. It takes time for them to understand that whatever you're doing for them, you're doing to help them better their lives. So it's very challenging, but because it's my community, it's where I live, it's where my children have grown up, and I'm also a member of that community, and I had a chance to be the person I am today. So I'm still very interested, and I'm not giving up. They also think that the more you work with them, then the more people are you're gaining from them. So people are like in business, and this is very, very challenging. It's very hard to get the people to own any activity that you bring to them or training. Anything you bring to them, it's like they're doing for you, and you're the one who is benefiting from it. So this makes everything very, very hard, very hard. But we also have serious challenges with funding, because when you look for, most of our capacities are very low. We don't have the know-how, but we do the donkey work. It's very hard to convince donors that you have the capacity to manage their funds, yet you're poor. They believe that poor people don't have the capacity to manage funds, or maybe your education is not high enough to be able to manage their funds. We have tried to tell them that they can't bring their own managers, they can't bring their own program officers, but it's still very hard. They believe that bigger organizations can do more work than us, yet we do donkey work. That's our society. Okay, what I'm doing right now is trying to mobilize women around issues. So they come up, it's them to come up with an issue that they feel that they want to change in their community, and then together we design a program that can help them change. It starts with identifying the issue and then learning what people are doing about it, and then we build up on that. And we believe that through that we can have the change we want. And even if you move out from that community, then they can still own the process and go on changing whatever they're supposed to change. I work with adolescent girls in schools, so I work with through 15 schools. I also work with 5 organized groups of young adults, that is young women program. Mostly we are doing sports with them. We're majoring on volleyball. I also work with older women. With older women, what we're trying to do is we are trying to promote peace and peaceful coexistence, because there's a lot of polarization in this country. People are so much divided along tribal lines, political affiliations, and as women this affects us a lot. Because as women you have to interact with someone in one way or another, whether you like it or not. And in the community, we don't live our lives, we live with our neighbors. We share everything from where we do our laundry, even the roofs. When they're playing music in their rooms, you have to hear. When they're talking in their rooms, you have to hear. So in the community, we have no option but to coexist. Because if we don't, then we are more affected. So that is the work I'm doing with the women. Otherwise, I'm trying to reach the entire community. At some point, I also bring men on board, because I believe that we cannot have a perfect society without involving our men. They are part and parcel of the community. And my approach is a very positive approach, because I listen to everyone, to what can work for them. I don't victimize anybody, and because of this, people have received me so well. What I really love to change about my community is that community ownership. I'd love my community to understand that most of the things that people are doing for their own benefit. so that they own and they don't expect to be paid if you're trying to better their lives. That is something that I'm really praying that will change. I'm also praying that bigger organizations or even donors will consider bringing people from the community to the decision-making tables, to the discussion tables, because they know what works for them. There's nowhere you can change anybody's life without involving them. And I believe that is the reason why we haven't gone so far with so much that we're trying to do, yet a lot of resources are used. Because you bring in a very new concept into a community without helping them understand why you're doing them and owning the process. So those are some of the things that I'd really like to change from out there. So internally, I want to change the community attitude towards projects that are brought to them. Outside there, I also want them to change their perception and engagement strategy with their beneficiaries.
Okay.
I've been able to network a lot. I'm able to talk the way I'm talking right now. It has opened my mind to see so many issues in the community that which I never used to see before. And I think I call myself really empowered. I'm always very open to new ideas, and it was very interesting and unique when I heard about this from Helene. And I thought, why not understand what it is all about? Because we've always taken golf to be a rich man's game. It was very interesting to find that a young girl is very interested in golf and she would really like to roll it out to the community, which is, to me, that is something very unique and unheard of. I like this collaboration, and it's very interesting that we even discovered that this particular golf institution is working with my community, yet we don't even know what they are doing. So I think it's a powerful opportunity that if they give us a chance, we are going to utilize to take golf forward to the common person's world.
Okay, I met Jane. We have been friends for long, and I heard about her organization. And since initially I couldn't join her organization because I had a very violent husband, and maybe he could even think that if I go out with Jane for such activities, for different activities, it would be like I was going to maybe to do prostitution or whatever. So after I had gotten away with him, I looked for Jane because I was actually stressed and I was traumatized, and I looked for Jane, and she actually told me that she can make it. It's like you just have to accept the reality, and you can move on with your life, because he also has his life and you also have your life. So in order for you to actually to achieve your goals, is like you have to accept and you move on. So she kept on mentoring me every now and again. I had problems, I could call her, I could go to activities, and I just found myself so comfortable that it's like this is the kind of life that I wanted. So Jane has actually been a mentor to me. She has actually been, she has kept me going. Whatever she gives me is what that helps me. Yeah.
Playing the game of golf and continually pursuing to advance to the professional circuit is the vision that excites me, and having this goal is at the core of my resilient attitude toward life. I will continue to use my voice for these causes and believe that social links is a great avenue for sharing these messages of empowerment through golf.
So what did you think of golf before?
I thought it was for the rich people. I didn't even think that I would one day handle this handle. So I'm very happy for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about today?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm enjoying myself. I would wish to come another time.
Okay. So you think you're gonna keep practicing out here, hopefully, right?
Yeah, if I get the opportunity, I'll do it.
Nice.
Hi, Helene. I'm enjoying my golf. I've never done it before, and I think it needs a lot of concentration and consistency.
There you go.
I'm doing very well. I'm going to take this forward. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes.
You got to tell me about your experience today so far.
I'm Kate. This is my first time playing golf, and actually it was so fun. It was more than I expected, and I'd like to be doing this like daily. It's so fun.
I'm having fun so far. Still learning. Having fun, yeah.
My name is Joy. It's my first time here, and I'm having so much fun, and I'd love to do it more and more.
Okay, what have you guys learned today?
Oh, we've learned how to hold the clubs and how to concentrate on the balls.
Nice.
And I've learned that you have to like involve your whole body. The movement has to be from your hips, like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I'm Diana. This is Bella. We're doing golf for the first time, yes. But I think it's a game for me anyway. I can really play this. Yeah, from this trained. From this moment, I'm going to get someone to get me through the processes. I'm going to be the best golfer in Kenya, I guess.
Nice.
My name is Bella Aching. I'm a Luo. I live in Kibera. I'm a student of Catholic University. I'm doing a diploma in community health and development. And the reason as to why I decided to do community health and development is because of the empowerment that I'd got from the community that I'm living in. The women empowerment in Kibera, I think it's something that it's been taken seriously, and people are trying to work very hard at it to ensure that ladies are being empowered to be better women. And for real, it's a hard process, but they are taking it forward. They use sports to empower women, like playing volleyball, and after that they relate it to the real life situations. They also do drama and music to ensure that people are getting empowered. They have businesses that they create for women, like the people who couldn't afford school fees, and the ladies who dropped out of school due to pregnancy or being orphans and something of the sort. So they take them and they create something for them. Maybe they start business for them and they get empowered through that. And most so through education, I think it has been a great deal that most of the people, most of the children and young women are getting empowered in Kibera through education. And we've just come to realize education is the key success to every empowerment. Because if you don't have the skills, you can't go ahead. So I think through education, and it's a wow project that they have empowered many women over it. And I think if you can also empower, if you can continue empowering us through such a nice game like golf, it can be better for us because we can get empowered and we start earning from this, and that can be good. It can make us to move from where we are to another level. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Mugambi Muruidhania. I'm the Vice Chairman of Loyal Nairobi Golf Club. Loyal Nairobi Golf Club is the oldest golf club in Kenya. I have two daughters, gorgeous, lovely. One is turning 18 this year. The other one is turning 10 mid of the year. The girl child, and particularly my daughters, they are a source of inspiration to me. We play golf together. I have a son also. My son is playing off handicap 12. My daughter is playing off handicap 21. And the other one is about to get a handicap. But because they're in school, they are not able to, she's not able to play as consistent as possible. Girls to me are human beings like any other human being. To me as a father, there's no difference between a son and a daughter. They are all my child. My girls have the equal height like their brother. My wife, who is their mother, has equal height like me. And that's why we are family. So anything that try to bring division within the family because of gender or otherwise is not welcome as far as our family is concerned. And I wish everybody behaves and looks at a girl child like that. To see anybody else supporting a girl child, it feels so good.
Okay, my name is Ernest Che. I come from Kilifi in the coast of Kenya. And I have come from a very humble background. I've grown up in a very remote place, and I had to travel long distance to look for education and all that. Well, personally, I have a huge respect for women, and I don't doubt their ability. Looking at Mom as my role model, were it not for her, I wouldn't have been who I am today. My mom is a very hard-working woman. She used to wake up so early to prepare us to go to school. She used to prepare meals for us very early, and we used to, take one meal to school. So she had to make it as heavy as possible so that it would take us through the whole day, and would take our second meal in the evening when we came back home. So she's a woman who had a lot of strength. And looking at her, because she got married to my dad when she was 12 years old, and she gave birth to her firstborn sister when she was 17 years old. She actually never stepped over school, but she knew the value of education. So I come from quite a huge family. We were born 11 of us from the same parents. I am a twin, but I lost my twin when we were 24 years old. So looking back to where I've come from and the strength that is in that woman, even to death, she deserves to be the happiest woman. And if as a woman thought about empowering us as men, then I think us as men also have a role to empower women so that they don't have to go through all the struggles that they do, like my mom went through that struggle to bring us up and to make us, the men we are today.
In the Amora culture of Ethiopia, a traditional staff called a CK gives women strength in all situations. On the outskirts of Addis Ababa, CK Women's Development Association is empowering women by introducing channels for them to voice their community concerns and their accounts of gender-based violence. CK also promotes entrepreneurship through self-help groups, and to encourage solidarity amongst women, they have shared the benefit of community savings. I was able to meet with the Ethiopian women and listen to their stories, some of overcoming gender-based violence and others of liberation since becoming economically empowered shop owners. Zara Toons, the founder of CK, shares her personal story and her motivation behind forming this organization to support the women of her community. Trafficking of humans is still prevalent across the world, with over 21 million people trapped in forced labor. Trafficking in persons is still the third largest organized crime in the world today. Ethiopia has long since been a source country of trafficking. Poverty, lack of property ownership, and unemployment are the main reasons women get caught into this business. The Good Samaritan Association has received funding to rehabilitate women returning from the Middle East due to deportation at the Saudi Arabian borders or caught on the way out of Ethiopia.
My name is Fellakut Hujo and I'm from this town.
Amma itti baranne baay'ee beekna siiqeechaan ulee qal'oodha nama walloon kan araarsu waaqallee nadheen baatee nadheen siiqee ya baatee nadheen arusii baanii baaleen bayee waaqa yoo kadhatu waaqni gorore irroobaaf sila kanaafu siiqee jechaan kanaaf nadheen hundumaa agaa nuu dhagaa yoo waaqa kadhanne nuu dhagaa jecha duraan gola jirra boraatii bichaa fudhannee baana amma immoo dirqama keenya fi mirga keenya barree dalaabaan waa'ee kitaana dubara akka dhoowwamu wal barsiisna baanii waa'ee dirqama guddeeddaa yoo argitan tarabarramne akka seera qaqqabsiisu jennee irratti marii waldaa keessatti kaanee torbaniin tara bakka walii baasneet dirqama baaneet wal barsiisna abbaan barsiisu jee wal barsiisneet seeraan maaliifin waa'ee ulfan barbaachisnes yoo argan waa'ee immoo kitaana dubaras wal barsiisne waa'ee qulqullinaa
የምጀምረው ከራጉርጉ ነው ማለት እኔ የምሰራበት ቡድን ጥረት ለእድገት ነው
ጥረት ለእድገት
አዎ
አሁን አንቺ ሱቅ ይሰራልሽ አይደል
አዎ
ሱቅ ከመስራትሽ በፊት ምን ነበር መስራት
ፋብሪካ ነበር የምሰራው
ተቀጥረሽ ምን
አይከም
ምንድነው መስራት ነበር እዛ
ጨርቃ ጨርቅ
ምን ታደርጊያለሽ
ማለት ማምረት ጨርቅ ማምረት
እዛስ ምን የስራ ድርሻሽ ነበረው
ማሽን ላይ
ነበር ሰሪው ባለሙያ ነሽ
አዎ ያው አለማምደውኝ ነው
ከዛም በኋላ ተውሹ ወይስ
አዎ 9 ወር ሰራውኝ ከዛን ተውኩት አልተመቸኝም አዳሪ ከብድ ነበር ተውኩት
እና አትዳር ነበርሽ
አይ
አሁን ብቻሽን ነው የምትኖሪው ከቤተሰቦችሽ ጋር ነው የምትኖሪው ከዛም በኋላ ወደዚህ ወደ ሱቅ እንዴት ልመጭሻለሽ
በቃ የቤተሰብ እኔ ስራውን ስተው ቤተሰቦቼ የራስሽን ስራ ጀምሪ ብለው የተወሰነ ብር ሰጡኝ ስራዬን ጀመርኩ
እና ቤተሰቦችሽ አበራቱሻል ማለት ነው
አዎ በጣም
እና ከጀመርሽ በኋላ እንዴት ነው ያለው ነገር እንዴት ታይዋለሽ
በጣም አሪፍ ነው ከበፊት ፋብሪካ ከምሰራው ስራ የራሴ ስራ ብዬ የገባውበት በጣም ለውጦኛል
ምንድነው መሰሪ ትምሽጭ
በቃ ሸቀጣ ሸቀጥ ሙሉ በቃ ይሱቅ
ከመጣ ነው ያለሽ እና አሁን ምን ያህል ገንዘብ ታንቀሳቀሻለሽ ታውቂዋለሽ
እሱንም ታን ሲጀመርኩበት ነው እሱ ቅድሚያ 10,000 ብር ነበር
ወሰሽ የጀመርሽው ከዛን አሁን አድጎልሻል
አዎ አድጎልሻል
ትቆጥቢያለሽ ከዚህ ቦታ
ከዚህ ሌላ እንደ እቁብ ነው እንጂ ሌላ ቁጠባ
ባንክ አትቆጥቢም
ባንክ ቆጥባለሁ
ትቆጥቢያለሽ በየወሩ ነው በየሳምንቱ እንዳገኘሽ ትቆጥቢያለሽ ስለዚህ የራስሽን ስራ ከጀመርሽ በኋላ ለውጥ አለው ብለሽ ነው
በጣም አለው ለውጥ አለው
ለወደፊት ምንድነው የምታስቢው
በቃ ስራ መስራት አለብን የራሴ ብሎ ፋብሪካ ከመስራት የራስ ስራ መስራት ይሻላል በራስ ጥረት እሱ ነው የሚያሳድገው ብዬ ነው
ለሌሎች ሴቶች ምን አይመለክታለሽ አሁን ሴቶች የተለያየ ለራሳቸው የሚሰማቸው ስሜት አለ
አዎ በቃ ልክ እንደኔው ፋብሪካ ማሰብ ሳይሆን በቃ የራሳችን ትንሽም ብትሆን የራሳቸውን ስራ እንዲሰሩ ከስራ ነው እድገት የሚመጣውና ስራቸውን ይስሩ ነው
ከትንሽ ጀምሮ ማደግ ይቻላል ነው ማለት ነው
Sagale ke kasna
magan ke yalle mamusa orment ye ditami bishan biyan rada kasudi biya raga hamba ura kadde fe wani be ofcho takajadate arkadde biyete bakana taw dikkena hasarte sangurkurade hi waya waje biyana nakade sudi rake kun suryadi senaju motumman naqabte nagal chitecho Musamare malaga kaya kani wabja gurkurade demisan kite hasare deme fair kamu tumate kadnawanin galon darabe
ergame ergidemte Saudi
baati sadi
jasadi okay malif sidebisarrechi
motumman agarte osotin demu juru motumman agarte nagarte wanin wantan ikaman dene وانا بشان الراندا كيتشو
سعودي ما بيجي بكي باو برباد جل أبو ميجوي
مسكين ما نباسو
because I was poor and I wanted to change my life
إنتي مقررة ترى تيجي مسكين ما ندارك سده
just wanted to try and live changed life better life so I decided to go
And does she think she'll be here and what does she want to do when she gets out?
Hamma manastura jette yadda yo asi batummu mal jette yadda
Yatiya siraan oinga dewanu tano jette yadda akuman jireni kunna tawaya ilma lamadi setin biya da miskin manna
mucha qabde turte she has two kids and she left them just to give them better life and now she doesn't have any plan just from scratch.
So can you first start by introducing yourself please?
Okay, my name is Arsemite. I live in Ethiopia. I'm a student. I'm studying in Addis Ababa University. 5th year student. That's all.
Okay. So tell me how your life is different from those of the generation before you. So what differences do you see between you and your mother, you and your grandmother, or even between yourself and a young lady who is not affiliated with CK and who does not have the opportunities that you do?
Yeah, before this program, I'm decent one. I'm not talked in front of other peoples. I'm not. I told myself silent is good, and I couldn't raise any kind of issues about my rights, and I only listen what the other people say to me. But after enjoy this organization, there is no side, and confidentially I'm lead the other girls like a club in high school, and there is discussion with other friends. That is the difference, I think. Capacity building is a part of something good for girls.
Okay.
My name is Ertun Tafara. I am the founder and the director of this organization, CK Women's Development Association. I'm the only child for my mom. She got divorced when I was a little girl, and she suffered a lot to bring me, to grow me up. And because of that, she had no income to support me. Then she gave her only child to her brother who is living in Addis. So even if I was a little girl, I remembered how she was suffering to do all these things. Then I grew here in Addis with my uncle at his place. He tried to help me to go to school until I finished high school. Then I got married and established my own family, but my husband left me when my two boys, one 4 years and the younger one 4 months, he left the country for studying abroad. Then he was not supporting the family. I was suffering, but there are other reasons also that forced him to leave, to be frank. He was involved in politics, and he was not secured in the country at that time with the other regime. So he left, and I struggled to bring up my children. I had a small work at the government office, but the income I earned at that time was not sufficient to bring up my children, to send them to a better school. And at the same time, I tried to improve my study at the university. And it was, you know, if I go to the detail, it's a long story. Anyway, I practiced the same thing with what my mom passed through. So I started thinking of other women also who are in a similar situation. So I decided to do something for women. Gradually, after I improved my studies at the universities and my income getting better, and my two boys growing up and started going to school by themselves, I gave my time to other women. And there is a place called Alamgana. It's nearby to Addis. I went there and meet with 20 poor women, I can say. I meet with them on my weekends and holidays. And as I tried to mention to you, we sit together and do some handcraft works, which I got, which I raise small money from my friends, and we sit together and talk and talk and talk. Many of them, you know, they earn money from carrying fuel wood from Alamgana to Addis. And almost all of them, they have children, but no husbands. I meet this group through the Kabale administration. First time I went to the Kabale administration and asked about the women, the living condition of women in that area. And the Kabale administrator told me there are groups, 20 women who already we selected and looking for support for them. If you are interested, you can go and talk to them. And through him, I meet them. Then the Kabale administration gave us a small room in the Kabale, in the local, Kabale is a local administration in our area. A small room with a bench where we can sit every week and talk. And that is how I started. Finally, I had a friend in Canada who came to Ethiopia, and I told him about the story of the women and what I'm doing on my part-time, and he advised me to go to Oxfam, Canada, because he knows the people there. Then I told the story to Oxfam Canada's director. She was a woman, and she said an expert to where we meet, where we get together with the women group. Then they started supporting small money, and while doing all this, I was an employee of government at the government office. I did this on my part-time, but Oxfam Canada agreed to employ a program officer, and that is how I started. And some friends also supporting me. Then we got registered as an NGO. That is how we began the work. Gradually, the number of the women getting increased and increased, and they totally, stopped carrying fuel wood. Instead of carrying fuel wood to Addis and getting income, they involved in horticulture, production, and we also started a daycare center for their kids. That is how the organization established.
You are just able to hear stories from women associated with organizations in East Africa. The funny thing is that if you listen close enough, these stories are so relatable. They could be coming from a neighbor, one of your friends, or even a loved one. So no matter the angle we decide to look at life, there are more similarities than differences between us all. Golf can be an amazing barrier breaker, and if given the opportunity in the industry of golf, people's lives can be dramatically changed. Hopefully, more people globally recognize this, and we can be there for each other as best as we know how, and as always, continue to lift up women's words.